Consonants. Alright guys, the following is from Grammar of the Gothic Language by Joseph Wright, and this is published in 1924. So the link to this textbook is in the description below. Please download it to follow along or what have you. But let's move on. So the thing is with historical pronunciation of languages, and this could be said for Gothic as well, not all scholars agree on the same pronunciation for Gothic. And if you think about it, just like languages today are dialects with varieties of languages, or subdialects, what have you. There is going to be variation of speech depending on where someone is and what time they're in, or what have you. So that's something to bear in mind. So to try to impose one set of pronunciations for a language, especially a historical language, wouldn't is not that accurate when especially with historical language in many different locations and times. You know, you would have some deviation, you would have some variety. That needs to be said, because some people think when it comes to Gothic that, oh well, whatever is attested must be the only way these people spoke. Well, no, that's not true, because we know from inference, when we look at other historical languages and how they have their dialects and varieties of speech, we know that, okay, well, if it's true for those varieties, well, it must be also true for Gothic as well. So here we have, in the order of the English alphabet, is essentially the Gothic consonants. Some of them, well, I mean, of course, majority of them come from the Latin alphabet, as we can see here. We do have a runic one with the Thorn that's on, the bottom right there, so to speak, and then we have an interesting HW character, which is called where. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And we also have Q, which makes a sort of a qu sound, as in like queen. However, I will talk about that much later in the video. But as far as like our inventory for Gothic consonants, this is what we're dealing with here. All right, so let's move on. B in Gothic makes two sounds. The first of which has an English B, so a B sound. This occurs initially at the start of words, medially in the middle of words, finally at the end of words, but within the context of after consonants. So here are a few examples. Barn, barn, child. Blintz, blintz, blind. Beran, beran, to bear. Salbun, salbun, to anoint. Arbe, arbe, heritage. Lamb, lamb, lamb. Swarb, swarb, he wiped. B. As well, in the medial position, medially after vowels, in the middle of words after vowels, as in the European Portuguese medial B, which this sound, well, to describe this sound, imagine if you're putting your mouth and your lips in the position to make a B sound, to make a B sound, but that same position, but you make the sound as if you're making a V sound. So it's sort of like B, V, V. So this might be a little difficult to wrap your head around, because for us English speakers, we don't have a letter to represent this sound. To our ears, it just sounds like a regular English V, which is a different sound, a very subtle sound. As a spoiler, the description of this sound is very similar to another sound, which I'll go into for F here, is the same principle. In that you put your lips or your mouth and your mouth in the position to make an P sound, but instead of making a P sound, it's a F sound. So similar principle, but in this case, for this sound, we make a voiced sound. So where we have vibration in the vocal cords. All right, so that's something to bear in mind. Havan, havan, to have. Sivun, sivun, seven. Events, events, even. The positions that D has is initially, medially, finally, after consonants. So essentially, again, the start of words, middle of words, and at the end, but in the context after consonants. So, and this makes the D as in English do. So it's very simple, D, right? So we have dags, dags, day, dauthus, dauthus, death, dragan, dragan, to draw, kalt, kalt, cold, bindan, bindan, to bind, band, band, he bound, huzd, huzd, treasure, iddia, iddia, I went. D also makes a second sound. This only occurs medially in the middle of words, but after vowels, as in English, then, th. Father, 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 bathe, bathe, bed, bildan, bildan, to offer. F, as in Old High German, slafan. So this F is a f sound. It's very similar to the English F, but the difference is that it's the way to describe it in my crude way of explaining is sort of like a emphasized F, it's a f, or kind of like if you're upset with someone, it's like a f. So that's another way to describe it, but the IPA for this specific sound is the first one as you see above. So it's a f sound. So father, 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 fulls, fulls, full, affar, affar, over, wolves, wolves, wolf, fünf, fünf, five, gaff, gaff, he gave. G. Oh boy, G has so many pronunciations and is a very, just to put it politely, a very fascinating consonant. And I'll read a quote here by Joseph Wright. The exact pronunciation of this letter cannot be determined with certainty for all positions in which it is found. And that is true because, again, we're working with essentially mental speculation. Of course, educated guesses, with compared analysis with other Germanic languages and knowing the sound changes or this or that. But G of itself is a fascinating consonant, and we'll get into why. So G at the start of words, or if you will, initially, as in English, go. So a G sound. We have two examples here of gooths. Gooths. Good. Givan. Givan. To give. As well, in the combination of vowel plus G plus consonant, other than a guttural, is the same as that G makes a English G, as in English go. So a G sound. We have here begyan, begyan, to buy, tagla, tagla, tears. So G in the position in the middle of words, however, between vowels. The thing is with Joseph Wright, he is a product of his time, and he describes this sound as widely spread pronunciation of German Tage, or really Tage, meaning days. This is a product of his time, but I know what sound he's talking about because he used the same description for a G in Old English. And what he's really referring to, from what I gather from this, is a voiced velar fricative. So it's a r sound. It's a ga sound. You have the sound today in Spanish, in some pronunciations of amigo. Other places would say amigo, but in other parts of the Spanish-speaking world, they'll say amigo. You also have the sound in Icelandic. Forgive me for my bad Icelandic pronunciation. Saga, But the sound is more or less the same. Of course, what I'm doing is a bit of an over exaggeration to really articulate the sound, to really show this sound in action. Because in today's English, we don't have this sound. Or there's other languages out there that don't have the sound. But at the same time, there are many languages out there that do have the sound, thankfully. But so here are some Gothic examples that do have the sound. And again, this is in the middle of words, medially, between vowels. We have auhu, auhu, I, stigan, stigan, to ascend. G in the final post-vocalic position. So what does this mean? So a G at the end of words, but just before it you have a vowel. And this G makes a German CH sound as well as a Scotch, or if you will, Scottish CH as in Scotch, loch. So it's a sound. We have our examples here. We have dach, dach, meaning day, mach, mach, he can. Moving on, we do have the sound again in the combination of GS, and we have our example here of dachs, dachs, day. So G before another guttural is sort of the sound as we have in English, as in think, the N in think. Like sort of the NG and thing. So the IPA is, as we can see there on the right, it's like sort of like, it was called eng, if you will, like ng sort of sound. And why it's written as a G, and this is an influence from ancient Greek, or if you will, Greek, Old Greek, if you will. And that symbol there is called gamma. So when you see a double G like this, again, this is where etymology plays a part in this. However, it's not always the case where if you see a double G, it makes this sound. We'll get into later why, but we'll get into the examples we have here. So we have bringan, to bring. Fingers, fingers, finger. Drinkan, to drink. Sinquan, to sink. As well as a variant, because thing is, Gothic is not a standard codified language as we would think of a modern language today. Even within Gothic, you did have variation of spelling. This may surprise a lot of people. You did have variations of spellings of the same word. So there are variants within the Gothic Bible, for example, where you see a usage of bringan. It is spelt with an N. So the combination of GGW is interesting because this is where etymology plays a big part in how this is pronounced. So the first one we have here, going off what we were talking about before, how the G can be represented. Well, a singular G can be represented as an N sound, so kind of that. Forgive me, the eng sound, so like ng sound. And we have two examples here with the GGW combination: singlan, to sing, and we have anguis, narrow. That's one approach to it. That's of one etymology, so to speak. And then we have another. In this combination, the two G's are to be pronounced as I interpret this, because Joseph Wright describes the two as a long-voiced explosive. So I'm assuming what he means here is a G sound, as in English go. The thing is, it's worth noting that double consonants, especially between vowels, were really long and pronounced long as in modern Italian and Swedish. So we have here, for example, atta, father, manna, man. Taking this into consideration of what he says about double consonants, especially of this nature between vowels, we have this combination here, right? And W of itself is an interesting consonant of itself because it has two qualities to it, which I will go into later in this video, but actually, for the sake of this combination, I may have to talk a bit about W now. But our first example here is a bit straightforward because we have a vowel before this combination and after the combination, so it makes it relatively easier to pronounce. So it would be bligwan, to beat, strike. Now this other one, because we don't have a vowel proper after this combination, and it is said that W has, apart from it having a w sound as in English wit, it does have this sort of U-like quality, U-like sound that cannot, which its quality cannot be exactly ascertained, to be very technical about it. I would imagine that this word here would be pronounced differently by different people. So this gives way to variations of speech among Gothic speakers or what have you, and place and time, etc. So my attempt at this would be something to the effect of tryggus, true, faithful. And that was my attempt for that word of itself. Okay, so H is a very interesting consonant of itself. It occurs initially before vowels. Well, H of this pronunciation occurs before vowels, initially at the start of words, immediately in the middle of words between vowels. The thing is, the way Joseph Wright describes this as a strong aspirate. So that is very vague of itself. Does he mean like a voiced glottal fricative, or a voiceless glottal fricative, or the latter being, English, as we say, like head is a simple H sound, whereas the voiced variant of that is described as very breathy, and we have this description here of strong aspirate. So again, I don't want to really impose my own mental speculation of what the sound could be. I mean, like, I think it could be either or. Given this vague description, it could be like today's English H, or the voice variant where it's like as in English ahead. So, let's move on to our examples here. Havan, to have. Hertu, heart. Fehu, cattle. Gatihan, to announce. Again, I don't want to impose this as the pronunciation of the language. I'm just going off by this vague description of a strong aspirate. This could very well be pronounced as an English H as we say today. So it's just a ha. It could very well be pronounced as havan, to have. Hertu, heart. Fehu, cattle. And finally, gatihan, to announce. So it could be either or, given this very vague description, but given its description using the strong, part of me thinks, okay, this may be hinting towards a voiced glottal fricative. Moving on. So H in other positions, as in German, Nacht, so it's a sound. And here are a few examples. Chleifs, loaf. Nachts, night. Falch, I hid. Yach, and. So this symbol here, in the Gothic alphabet, is called where, and Joseph Wright describes it as a labelized H or voiceless W, and he says that it may be pronounced as in Scotch when, so that's sort of reverse HW sort of sound. But I wonder about this in this description of labelized H or voiceless W, and this of itself, I would think for this combination, depending on its environment, would be pronounced differently by different people at different times. For example, it in the final position at the end of words, I'm not too sure how this would be pronounced, but I'll give a shot at it. But anyway, let's go on with our examples. Huila, time. Hupan, to boast. Achwa, river. Sejuan, to see. Sej, he saw. Nich, Nich, near. Alternatively, due to the influence of W here, because he does describe it as a voiceless W, the last two could be pronounced as something to the effect of Sehe, he saw, or Nihe, Nihe, or something to the effect of that, because I'm touching upon the W also having this ability to have this U-like quality, which cannot be ascertained. I have a feeling it could be like this in the context of this combination being in the final position. It could be either or. It's really up in the air because we're dealing with a very old ancient language. And again, I would imagine that there would be variation, a pronunciation, or what have you, because you have different variations of spelling even within Gothic. And if you look at the other later Germanic languages like Old English or what have you, you look at their cognates to these final words, as we see here, and how they developed. So I would imagine that there would be variation of how this would be handled in the Gothic language of final HW. But moving on. J in the start of words and in the middle of words immediately, as in English. Yes, so it's a y sound. We have year for year. Jungs, young, yuk, yoke, lagian, tele, newyus, new, fiance, fiend, enemy. Pretty straightforward. Moving on. So K in the initial position, start of words, middle of words, immediately, finally, at the end of words, must be pronounced before consonants, so L and R. It's not like you have like a silent K as you have in English, but the K in Gothic makes it as an English K, so it's a K sound. And this is pronounced initially, immediately, finally, and even before L, R, and N. So let's go on with our examples. Corn. Canoe. Knee. Akeris. Field. Brickan. To break. Ik. I. Personal pronoun. Yuk. Yoke. So L, in the start of words, middle of words, and finally at the end of words, is in the function of a consonant. Okay, because this is interesting because there is a distinction between L as a consonant and L as a vowel, sort of, so to speak, or a syllabic consonant, if you will. But we'll get into that later. So L in Gothic as an English L, so a L sound. So, and here are the examples. Lanks, long. Lysian, to teach. Heils, hail, whole. Haldan, to hold. Skal, I shall. Meal, time. So L in the function of a vowel or syllabic, if you will. As in English L, as we say today, bottle, that O. And this is also described as a dark L, if you will. And that little line in the IP, that little line, vertical line under the letter, that's to denote, to display this syllabic quality, if you will. Especially when you have consonant clusters or you have two consonants together, and they become syllabic, if you will. Fugels, fowl, bird. Taggle, hare. Sigil you, seal. M in the initial position, start of words, medial, middle of words, and finally at the end of words, in the function of a consonant. As in English M, so a m. So as in English M, so very straightforward, hopefully. So we have Mina, moon, Mizdu, Mizdu, mead, reward. Nimman, nimman, to take. Nam, nam, he took. Nimam, nimam, we take. As well, in the function of a vowel, or if you will, a syllabic consonant, because it is as an English M, but in the context of our English word rhythm. So that rhythm. So to show that in IPA, it looks like, well, we have an M, but then we have that little mark there under it. So, and we have two examples here that have this. So we have mythums, gift, bagums, tree, beam. N, in the start of words initially, in the middle of words medially, finally at the end of words, in the function of a consonant, as in English, N, as in no, if you will. And we have our examples here of nachts, night, neon, nine, mina, moon, laun, reward, can, I know. Moving on, in the function of a vowel, or if you will, a syllabic consonant, it is as in the English even, events, even. Tycons, token. P as in English put, and this occurs initially at the start of words. However, this applies to loan words. It also occurs medially at the middle of words, finally at the end of words. And we have our examples here of pund, pound, paida, coat, plinsian, to dance, sleepan, to sleep, diups, deep, hilpan, to help, se sleep, he slept, skip, ship. Q in Gothic, you could write it out as a KW if you want to be very literal about it, but Q in Gothic, Joseph Wright describes as a labelized K and is pronounced as the English queen, so it's a K sound. And we have a few examples here of quiman, to come, queens, wife, cinquan, to sink, riquis, darkness. So the last two there, similar to the HW or the where character and its pronunciation in the final position, I would imagine there would be variation as would be with the final Q, so to speak, or the final Q sound. I mean, I think that would vary from speaker to speaker, but I'll give my take at this, so to speak. So we have sanque, he sank, bistunque, a stumbling. So R in the positions initially, medially, and finally, in the function as a consonant, because we'll get in later as a vowel, which is very interesting of itself. As in Lowland Scotch, a trilled R, so a R sound. So we have rechts, right, straight. Ridan, to counsel. Beran, to bear. Barn, child. Fidwur, for. Door, door. So R in the function as a vowel. It is similar to that of how Joseph Wright treats like vocalic, or if you will, syllabic L, M, and N. But sure, he says here vocalic. You know, someone might read this and might think, oh, does he mean like a colored R or what have you? I would not think so, because thing is, in the context that he's talking about this, he's putting R in the same boat as L, M, and N in the context of being vocalic. So I would still think it's still a trill, an R sound. So it would have this kind of or sort of vowel or what have you, as we have here. Acres, field. Tagger, tear. Hungarian, Hungarian, to hunger. Moving on. S in all positions as in English sin, so a s sound, very simple. Sama, sama, same. Sivun, sivun, 7. Wisan, wisan, to be. Thusunde, thusunde, 1,000. Whose, whose, house. Gras, gras, grass. T as in English 10, so a t sound, and here we have our examples. Tehun, tehun, 10. Tunthus, tunthus, tooth. Haitan, haitan, to name. Machts, machts, might, power. Hertu, hertu, heart. White, white, I know. At, to, at. Next we have thorn. This is from the runic alphabet, and it makes as in English thin, so a th sound. We have our examples here of thankian, thankian, to think. Threes, threes, 3. Bruthar, bruthar, brother. Bruths, bruths, bride. Myth, myth, with. Fanth, fanth, he found. W as in English wit, so a w sound. Weens, weens, hope. Witan, witan, to know. Wrikan, wrikan, to persecute. Swistar, swistar, sister. Texu, texu, right hand. As well, W in the positions of after diphthongs and long vowels, as also after consonants not followed by a vowel, has a sort of reduced U sound, and as Joseph Wright says, the exact quality of which cannot be determined, because thing is, W is considered a semi-vowel, if you will, and at the same time it's a consonant, right? So it has this weird like quality that it has. So this U-like quality, so reduced U sound. So let's get into some examples here. Snaus, snaus, snow. Warstu, warstu, work. Skaduyan, skaduyan, to cast a shade or shadow. Z, Z occurs in the medial position in the middle of words, as in English freeze, so a z sound. We have here huzd, huzd, hoard, treasure. Hazyan, hazyan, to praise. Maiza, maiza, greater. And that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. And if you really like the channel, please become my patron at my Patreon page down below. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.